Hey, what's going on, everybody? This video right here is my response video from the video that Blockchain Backer put out on XRP. He's sort of the guru for XRP analysis on YouTube. He gets a ton of views, very respected person in the XRP community. So I'm going to just talk about what he talked about, and I'm going to show you things that he didn't mention, but that is adding Confluence to his analysis. Okay, so props to Blockchain Backer. Put out a great video today. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But I'm going to talk about what he talked about, but I'm going to spell it out a little differently. But I'm also going to talk about things that are adding to what he's saying. So first of all, what he said is that XRP is in a contracting triangle. And if you go back to, I think, yeah, December 1st, I put out a video talking about this. In case you didn't know, I started doing videos about October, really. But I have done videos before that, just not as taking it seriously. But this video was 3 months ago. I talked about, the contracting triangle. It's pretty well known around the community, and I love it, right? So let me just skip ahead here. I'm not going to, I talked 42 minutes and I've talked about it many times before and after, but this is just one video of sort of going in detail about the contracting triangle, showing some examples and whatnot. So we got the whole gist of it, right? And so that was, let me zoom in. So this was the fractal here. And basically at that time we were in wave E. And prior to that, we were in wave D. And I was talking about, is this a 3-wave move? And it was, right? It totally was. But then we also had in that last wave, in wave D, I'll show you, I know it's blurry, but I'll show you in the chart, is a diagonal. Okay, so let me show you now the active chart. So just, if you haven't seen the video, right, we're talking about right here an A, B, C, and D. And now we're in wave E. Okay, so we got all that, right? So what was different about, because he's talked about this before, and I've talked about it before. So what was different about what Blockchain Backer said? He said in wave E, right, we could see another contracting triangle. And that could be the case here. And I like that idea in the sense that even if it wasn't a contracting triangle, we still need 3 waves, right? So here's the argument here. So let me show you this. So here's the triangle, right? Here's the triangle. And there are people out there, not myself, but there are people out there saying, no, 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 no. Wave D isn't even finished yet, right? Because why? Because it didn't get to the top of this. So what they're saying here is that this is wave D, and then eventually we will get wave E. And that, to me, couldn't be further from the truth. So the other side of what people are saying, right? Not, they're saying that this is a 1, 2, and a 3. And then we're going to get wave D. And then we come back down into wave E. And then we move. I talked about that, 3 months ago, saying that's not the case, right? This is a 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to show you. And this is going to get real good. And I'm going to show you things as well. And by the way, if you haven't already, I put out 2 or 3 videos yesterday on XRP. So part 1, part 2, part 3. And they're all very, very informative. I go into detail from top to bottom. And it's like probably 2.5 hours worth of analysis just on XRP alone. So if you haven't seen it already, highly recommend checking that out. I go over so many things. So I didn't get to go over the contracting triangle because I've already done it multiple times. But since Blockchain Backer put out a video, I want to sort of, like I said, respond to that. And so here's the thing right here. So in a contracting triangle, right, we have each wave, we have 3 waves, right? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And these are all ABCs. And then we have 1, 2, and 3. So here's the part. Here's the part that wasn't mentioned that I'll mention. So in this D wave right here, we also have a diagonal, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? A diagonal can be expanding, it can be contracting, right? Or it could be in the shape of like a falling wedge. So there's your diagonal. So it's a 5-wave move, right? Which requires a 1, 2, 3-wave pullback. Now, normally, a normal circumstance is a 3-wave pullback is like this, right? An ABC. This took the shape of a flat pattern, right? So we had sort of a regular flat pattern that took out, you have a regular, expanded, you have a running flat, right? So the 3-wave pullback that we needed from this contracting triangle is there. So we're ready, right? But here's the part that's cool. Also, the part that's really cool, that's adding confluence to this whole theory, because that's what it is. It's not about, you know, trying to figure out the answer alone. You want the whole sort of community to put their piece of the puzzle, right? And if I put in probably many pieces yesterday, so if you're an XRP fan, you gotta check that video out I put out yesterday. There's so many different types of information in here, but for this video, I just wanted to make it quick and to say, and you know me, when I say quick, it's probably like an hour. Hopefully that's not the case today. We'll see. But yeah, we got a 3-wave pullback right here. Okay, so that's wave E, right? So we have wave E's already done. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, and D, and we have 1, 2, 3, and E. So just real quick, here's a couple examples of contracting triangles, right? They could be different. They can take different forms. So you could see on the bull market side, this is what we're dealing with here, right? So we had that first bull run, right? We came down in A, we went up in B. So while the whole rest of the market was going on a bull run, right? Like I said yesterday, when the whole market was going out, all the crypto coins, they were going out and partying, they're drinking, they're having a good time, whatever. Meanwhile, XRP didn't get to go outside. XRP stayed home and started working out and getting stronger and stronger and stronger, right? So this B wave was the whole bull market, right? XRP didn't have a bull market. It only went into a retracement. So a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, right? And then we go sideways and then we break out. So that's an A, and that also takes the form of an A, B, C, D, E, right? And you can see this bullish example here. So to add to that, right? So we have the contracting triangle, right? And look at down here. That's the same thing that happened down here, right? We had an A, B, C, D, and E. And then we're going to go. Okay, so here's the part that I'm going to show you that's adding the confluence. Okay, so if this is A, B, C, D, E, or I'm sorry, A, B, C, D, E, let's zoom in right at wave E, okay? Because this is the point before the big blast off, right? So let's talk about what happened right before the big blast off so we can get an idea of if that is happening now, okay? So check this out. So, and then I'm going to talk about his variation of the contracting triangle, which is simply wave E not being a 3-wave move, but being also a triangle, which is A, B, C, D, E. And I'm also, well, you know what? I'm going to talk about that first. I'm going to talk about that first because it's important for the fractal that I'm about to share. Okay, so we have, let me actually go to, this is going to be fun. Stick around, watch this. I'm going to go to the 3-day chart. Okay, and basically wave E, he mentioned today on his video that wave E could be a contracting triangle itself, right? And to me, it doesn't really matter. The point is, I want to see 3 waves in wave E, right? And we got it. And it took the form of a flat. And that form of the flat came from this correction of this diagonal. So either way, I'm fine with it. So, but anyway, we're going to talk about this. So we have right here, we have wave A, B, C, and then we came up for D, but look at this. Now we need wave E. Now wave E can come all the way back down here. It can come up here. It can flag out. Whatever the case is, you know, I'll just put it right about there. Okay? So now so I now I have the fractal here, and we're gonna sort of overlay this. Now I did make it bigger. I expanded it, right? And so really nobody's talking about this fractal anymore because it's not fitting, right? Because I took the whole thing back from over here, but nobody's talking about it, right? Over here, I took the whole thing over here. Watch, I'll show you why nobody's talking about it. Look at this. So if you take the regular fractal, right? Take the regular fractal, and I'm going to put it just like that, okay? And then I'm going to bring it all the way over here, and I'm going to put it right about there. You can start to see that it's not really matching up anymore. I mean, it's kind of sort of did, right? But look where the blast off was on the fractal right here. Look at this. Here's the fractal, right? We were supposed to come down, and then boom, we were supposed to blast off. But that didn't happen. Look at this. We continue to go down. Why? Why? Because the fractal is expanded. And you need to make it bigger. Fractals are just like Fibonacci's, right? They're sequences of bigger, 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 or smaller, 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 right? Doesn't matter. So basically, we're talking about the spring phase. So here, if I put that right there, actually, let me get rid of it. And now all we need is this piece right here, okay? All we need is this piece. So I'm going to zoom back in. Let's go to the daily chart. Okay? So remember, we're working on wave E, right? So now I'm going to get rid of this, and we're just going to talk about where we are here. So check this out. And I don't think anybody's talking about this because the fractal sort of got voided out. But to me, it didn't, because we're still in that sort of in that spring phase, right? So this, and that's another thing that wasn't, I've been talking about, which is Wyckoff accumulation, right? So if you go back over here, right, this whole thing was Wyckoff accumulation, right? So you had your this up move, this back down, this up, and then you had your spring phase, right? And this was the liquidity grab, and that was the explosion. So that was Wyckoff accumulation. So before the big thrust, you need a spring. So everybody was thinking, hey, this is the spring, right? We're coming down for the spring, and now let's go. But no, that didn't work. Why? Because sort of the SEC ruling kind of screwed up the way the chart looked, right? So instead of a spring like this, right, it was supposed to come down like this and then continue higher. That didn't happen. Instead, we got a different look, a different type of spring. It was more of a 3-wave spring. It was more of it was a spring phase in the form of a flat. So what I did was I took the existing fractal and I overlaid it on this wave here, which is basically, the end of that spring phase. And look what I found. So let me get in here. Watch this. Actually, let me zoom in. Let's go maybe the 6-hour chart here. Let's see how that looks. Okay. So watch this. Bear with me here. Look at this. You go, well, that doesn't look alike. Well, watch this. You see that there? Look at this. I want you to focus. Now I can make it it's a little big right now, but I can make it smaller to fit it. But you get the point. I mean, I want you to look at this part right here. I want you to look at this, right? And then I want you to look at this compared to that, right? So if I overlay it, I could make it a little bit smaller, but if I zoom out, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. And I'm talking about this whole area, not the whole fractal itself, right? It is expanded. So look at this area right in here. We have this impulse back down. We took out the high. And that wasn't, I talked about this a few days ago, talking about why I entered right here, right? Because it was just another reason why I entered there. There were several reasons why, but I'm not going to get into that. Like I said, totally watch yesterday's videos. You'll be surprised about how much information was in there. But for this video, just talking about my response to his blockchain backers video, but I'm adding to his theory, right? So that's his theory. It was short, simple, sweet, right? But I like to go much more deeper and more in depth. That's just my style, right? I want to get down to the nitty gritty of it. I want to add layers of confidence to that count, right? Not just saying, hey, it's a contracting triangle and the wave E is also a contracting triangle, the end, right? But no, but there's much more to it than that, right? So I like, I'm kind of like a nerd when it, like I'm geeking out over the different layers of the analysis, right? Now, some people like it short and sweet, get right to the point, boom, it's over. Others like much more information, more detail, right? So, yeah. So look at this. So if we have this here, you can see this move here, right? And then it sort of rounded out, and then bam, a sharp impulse. Now, this impulse came later, but that's okay. But look what happened right here. Look what happened. We started to flag out. So let's say if that's the case, right? Let me pull this down. If that's the case, then we can see potentially something like this, where we go boom, 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 right? Flag out, then, continue higher. And that would finish up wave E of what he talked about, of wave E on the whole triangle being a triangle itself, right? So, and then also, if I just play around with this fractal, you can sort of see points of interest here, right? I mean, you can see, right, this move up, right, this wave here, and you can see this sort of flat area, then it breaks down, then it kind of breaks back up, retested as resistance, then it sort of plays back down. The price did bottom out better, right? This price continued down, but that's okay. So you kind of have to play around with the fractals. Look, fractals are never perfect. They're never identical. History doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes, right? So what can we expect from the fractal, from the contracting triangle, from the wave E, from also, look at this. I'm going to get rid of the fractal now because we understand. Also from this cup and handle pattern that has already broken out here. Look at this. Right? You can see we have a cup, right? Here's your neckline, right? Here's your cup, and then here's your handle, right? We're and now we broke out. Look at this. We broke above the neckline. Look at this. And people wonder, why did we take off yesterday? Because I talked about this. If you're new to the channel, I highly recommend subscribe, because if you want to stay ahead of the curve, I talked about this, right? We broke out, we back tested the neckline, and then what happens when you back test? After a big breakout, you get this reaction. XRP rose $5.5 billion in less than 24 hours. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. $5 billion, almost $6 billion, right? In 24 hours. So then what happened? So then we pulled back, right? We're starting to pull back. That's okay, no problem, right? That's normal. And then I also talked in yesterday's video about the price can come all the way back down and back test the breakout area. So here was our high, right? We did this, we came back up, and we back tested the high. And then I gave an example of the fractal of what we see here as well. So look at this fractal. I want to show you something. And then we're going to get into his blockchain backers contracting triangle in wave E and how that relates also to the fractal. But before I show that, look at this. You have chop, 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 chop. You made a high. You come down, you round about halfway, then you explode. So just take a mental screenshot of that. So chop up, back down, round about, explode. So going back on the big chart, right, on the macro chart, same thing that happened here. Look at this. We chop, 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 right? We made a high. We slammed down. We made a little hump, a little hill right here. Halfway on that hill, we started to explode. Then what happened? Then we came all the way back down to back test. We back tested this little hump here, right? Now, of course, this one went a lot higher and it actually broke above this, right? We broke above this high and we came down to back test this high. So maybe we come down to back test this as well. So let's talk about that. Let me go back over here. And we talked about Fibonacci as well, where the target hit, right? So you can see, if I put a line right here, it actually came down and back tested this line. So that could still happen, by the way. That could still happen. So that would be around between 63, 64 cents, right? So yeah, it looks pretty good. So that was a fractal of that thing that happened there. So, but for now, all we have is a 1, 2, 3. We have a 3-wave move. So this needs to flag out for a triangle like the fractal, that purple fractal I shared, and then continue higher. Because wave 4s are often a triangle, right? A lot of times they're triangle. I mean, just look at this. If this is a wave 4, you see here we have 1, 2, 3, and this is wave 4. And in wave 4, you have a contracting triangle, right? So there's a lot of different ways you can look at a chart, right? There's a lot of different theories. I like to look at every way possible, right? And I like to do multiple updates and different types of perspective, right? I mean, you can see here we have a cup and a handle, right? And here's your neckline. Let's break that neckline, right? And then you also have rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. Same thing that happened down here, right? We're investors. We want to make money. How do we make money? We need a big breakout. We need a blast off. The price needs to explode. So how does the price explode? Well, we need to go back in time and figure out how it exploded before. What was the setup that led to the explosion that made everybody rich? Now that that happened, I'm looking for that same setup so that I can be rich. And that's the same thing, right? We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. Same thing that's happening here, right? So, I've even talked about the sort of the reaccumulation phase in here, right? How it looked in this channel, right? It was an ascending channel. It broke to the downside. This ascending channel has not broken to the downside, but you can see how much bigger it is, right? You can see reaccumulation, right? Here's your retrace, your crash, your bull, right? And it's essentially the same chart. So I took that fractal, that purple fractal right here, and I overlaid this price action to where we are now. So if that's the case, now let's talk about what he was mentioning, which is, right, this could potentially be in wave E an A, B, C, D, and now we get E. So if that's the case, right, and we get wave E, then, taking this fractal again, right, I take this fractal right here, you can kind of see it, starting to match up with the current price, right? So I do have it on I should have took the fractal on a lower time frame, but it's okay. We get the idea. So if that's the case and we need wave E, right, how does that look? Well, we can either get 1, 2, and 3, or we get some type of, another triangle in here, like how the fractal suggested. So, if I take this deck back down here, you can see it sort of matching up, right? And if I match it right up with where we are here, I guess you can say that could be potentially a wave 3, right? 1, 2, 3, right? Or A, B, C, D, E. We have a contracting triangle within a contracting triangle within a contracting triangle, right? I mean, that's really how you can say it, because here's the contracting triangle, which is inside this contracting triangle right here. A, B, C, D, E, which is inside the mega chart, right? Which is A, B, C, D, E. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But the point of this video is, hey, this means we're potentially very close to the finish line. We'll have to wait and see how that wraps up, right? We'll have to see how everything wraps up. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So, if you want more, you can see here, starting with this video here, XRP breaking out, why alts move after BTC, XRP fractal. Then I put out a part 2, XRP full breakdown, part 2 of 3. Macro plus 2,300% upside potential, setting the stage. Then the final video I put out, which is XRP part 3, macro bullish, XRP market cap jumps 5.5 billion in less than 24 hours. This is big, right? This is a big area. And the reason why I put 3 videos out yesterday was because we were getting very close to the end of that fractal, right? And also potentially hitting out in wave E, right? And then also we broke above the cup and handle. I mean, there's a lot of things I talked about in here, right? I mean, the first video is 51 minutes. The second one's basically an hour. So that's almost, 3 hours worth of different explanations of what we're seeing here, right? So if you got that kind of time, right, then go check it out. So now let's talk about targets here, right? So if this is a target, I can use a trend-based fib extension. I'll put the Fibonacci from here. I'll drag it all the way to the top, right? Well, this is actually trend-based time. I don't want that one. I want, where'd you go? Trend-based extension. Okay. So take it from the top, take it to the bottom, right? And we hit almost the 702, right? So a good target to have for this would be about $1.18, I would say between 98 cents and $1.18. So yeah, which is a good target to have. And really getting above 89 cents, right? So a lot of people think we need to get above $2 or so, but I don't think so. I think all we need to do is get above $1.10 to $1.30. All we need to do is break $1.30. If we could break $1.30, I'm pretty confident that we can challenge then the all-time high, right? So the all-time high, 618 through 786, is approximately $1.59. So put it this way: if we break $1 between that $1.60 area to that $1.70 area, so we'll just say $1.65, really $1.60 according to the 786 right here. If we can break $1.60, we're $1 away, less than $1 away, then that means we can set our sights to a new all-time high, because that's what it's about, right? It's about getting through all of this retracement area, right? So that's what we did. We had a retrace, right? While the rest of the market went into a bull run, we were going into a retrace. While the rest of the market had a bear market, we had a reaccumulation, right? While the rest of the market is retracing, we're still in sideways reaccumulation. While the rest of the market could break out, that's when XRP can also break out. So, $1.60. So between $1.30 and $1.60, that's the magic number that is needed. If we can break, put it this way, if we can break $1.60, then I'm pretty confident that we can hit, let me turn this to linear scale. Now the Fibonacci I had was on log scale. So on linear scale, the target would be, to get above $2.60. So between $2 and $2.60, right? And then on this wave here, it is approximately same thing, $1.30 to $1.60. So this wave here, $1.30 to $1.60, we break that. And that's why I use log scale, because there's not much volume up here. There's not much resistance up here. You can see when we come up, we sliced right through it. When we came down, we sliced right through it. So this area between to the top all the way to about $1.66, that's all there is. This is all the resistance we have from $1.60 area to the all-time high. So that's why I'm pretty confident if we could break $1.60, there's not much resistance here, right? So so if we can break that, if we could break $1.60, I'm pretty certain we can break the all-time high. If we can break the all-time high, then I'm pretty sure we can hit between our first target, between $4 and $5, right? So between $4.15 up to $5.52. So just say between $4 and $5. That would be sort of that first target area. And then once we get there, we'll see what the wave looks like. We'll reevaluate. We'll see the structure of, of the patterns, right? And then once that is done and everything still looks good, right? Then we can continue our way up, potentially up to $8 to $10. We'll see how that works. It's sort of a big market cap. It's a big ask, but we'll see, right? And then another thing too, I talked about. Well, I didn't actually talk too much about targets, but what I did talk about is also the impulse waves of this. So we can either have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So that whole thing is wave 1. So if that's the case, right? So this whole thing is wave 1. This whole thing is wave 2. Right here, 2. This is 1. Then now we're in the middle of the third wave, which is a 1, 2, right? And in that 1, 2, now we're in wave 3. And in that wave 3, we have a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? So we have a 1, 2, 1, 2. So now that third wave, depending, I don't know when that third wave is going to be. It can be, it's hard to know when, but eventually, right, when we get to that third wave, it's going to be very strong, in my opinion, right? Yeah, we do have resistance up here, and yeah, it might be hard to break through it, but I think inevitably it'll be a pretty strong wave 3, right? So then we get 4 and 5. So that'll be, a 1, 2, 3. And then we get 4 and then 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So then that whole thing would be 1, 2, 3, right? And then we go down for 4, then we go down for 5. So that fourth wave is probably way later, and it'll be another bear market. So we're not even near that point yet. But either way, the other count was to say, okay, this is a 1, 2, 3, and now we're in 4, and then we're going to get 5, which is the contracting triangle for wave 4. So either way, I think we got some good upside potential. And then another thing too, I mean, you got this cup, you got this cup. You got this down move reaccumulation, down move reaccumulation, right? So yeah, we'll keep an eye on the trend lines. So zooming back in, let's see here. If I put it here to here, let's see. If I put it on the base of the candle, look at that. We already broke out. Look at, guys, I didn't even realize this. Look at this. Look at this. The 4-day, I like the 4-day chart for many different reasons. But look at this. In less than 4 hours, we're going to have a 4-day candle close. And that 4-day candle close is going, I didn't even sort of realize this. Look at this. It's going to break above this, of this sort of other type of triangle, right? This sort of smaller triangle within a larger triangle. So you can see it's going to break above it. And you know what? With all fairness, it already did break above it back over here, right? If I put that wick here. So trend lines are pretty, subjective to where you want, but when we got this high, it made sense to then move the trend line even higher. Now, if I put it on the wick and be more conservative, then no, we haven't broken it. But to me, it's not the wick, it's the close, right? So if I put it on the close, that's more important, right? So getting that, for example, like when Bitcoin had a weekly close all-time high, that's more important than an actual all-time high for trading reasons, right? So yeah, look at this. This is our downward resistance line right here, right? This is our supply line, right? And this is our demand line. So when the supply line and the demand line meet, a major volatile explosion occurs. And that is literally happening now. Okay? And it's happening to the upside. So all we need to do is close above 65 cents. So, we got some time. Hopefully we do that, right? So then what? Well, then we want to get above. So let's say we break out. But remember, we're still in wave E. So we need to maybe play around in here. If this is a contracting triangle, for example, A, B, C, and then we go, or A, B, C, D, E, then we go. And that would make sense because then we would back test this breakout, right? So you break out. It's called break, hook, go, right? So you break out, you back test the downward resistance line, then you go. And then you break out and you break this high, and you could back test that too. And that would be very bullish. That would be a 1 2 1 2 1 2, right? That would be a nest of 1 2 1 2s before a bigger explosion. So yeah, exciting times. We'll see how it continues to play out. And this parallel channel here had me a little concerned, right? Because of how it was rising. But what I really like is this right here, is this recent price action. We have developed a horizontal base, right? Instead of it slanting up, because what usually things that trend up break to the downside. But if it trends up and then goes sideways, then it's a good chance that's not the case, right? Because you can kind of see we have two bases here. We have two bases in here, right? One here, right? And this was the connecting wave to another base. You could see this base is lower. So this is like Bitcoin, right? So, and this is something I have not talked about, right? We had this was a retracement, but pretending this is the Bitcoin chart, we have this reaccumulation, we break out, and then we go into reaccumulation. Let me show you Bitcoin real quick. Look at this. We come down, we have a base, right? Then we develop another base. So look at this. Look at that. We have two bases, and then what was the net result? It was a massive breakout. So going back to Bitcoin, going back to XRP, right? It's the same thing. It's just behind. So what did Bitcoin do? Right? It continued to go. This is XRP. I'm using it as an example. It continued, playing around. We finally broke out, and then we had a big velocity. We had an expanded flat right in here, right? Or it was a running flat, and then we continued higher. So if I had to guess, I'm thinking something like this, guys. It's very bullish. We'll see what happens, right? So the main objective, what is the main objective? The main objective is to break above this line right here. This downward resistance line. That's what I want to see. I want to see us break above this $1.10 area right in here. $1.10, $1.15, and then eventually $1.30, right? So I'm excited. I'm bullish. Remember, not financial advice. Anything can happen. This thing can die. This thing can go to zero, and we're all wrong and we're all broke. Always know that. Anything, look at Luna. Everybody thought it was great. Then boom, it died. Not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying anything can happen. Don't listen to people on the internet, including me, right? Always do your own research. I don't claim to know everything. I don't know anything. I'm just interpreting data based off what I see, right? I'm pretty confident in my abilities because I have, in my opinion, a good track record when it comes to these things. And it's all based off experience. It's not because maybe this guy's better than you or this. Don't ever be discouraged, right? For me, I want to build people up, right? So sometimes when you listen to channels, it's a little intimidating. It's a little discouraging because of how much somebody knows and how much little the person watching it knows. And that was me when I started out trying to figure out what the charts meant, right? But if basically the best way to do it is to join a community of traders, and there's a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of bad ones out there, but also to just continue to watch and see how people do their analysis. But the thing is, like, you can't learn in a 10-minute video. People want instant gratification. Tell me what it's going to do and tell me now. No, I want to take you through my thought process. I want to take you how I got there. It's like, imagine you're in algebra class or geometry, right? You're sitting in there and you do your test and it's multiple choice and then it's done. The teacher says you got an F. Wait a minute, how did I get an F? I got every question right. Because you didn't show your work. So how do I know you're doing it right? You can say, well, yeah, this is in school, but this is the investor, right? You have to know how you got to that point. You can't just take somebody's word for it. You have to sort of show your work. And that's what I like to do. I like to show my work. I don't like to just say, hey, this is what I think is going to happen. This is, whatever, a contracting triangle, and we're going to break out. End of story. Well, explain to me why it is. Explain to me how you got there. And then once you do that, explain to me Confluence, right? What else is there? Is there anything else to support that theory, right? Because it's your money. You have, I don't know how much money you got, but people have serious money in the markets. They have to know, right? You can't know for sure, but you have to have the probability be extremely high. And in order for that probability to be the highest possible, you have to have different ideas, right? You have to have multiple things telling you that it's going to do what you think it's going to do, right? Like, okay, this was a wave E, A, B, C, D, E, but look, it's also a cup and a handle, right? And then in that cup and handle, you also have the fractal down here to support that. And then this whole structure is a contracting triangle that supports this. And this whole structure, comparing it to the previous one, is also a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, breakout, right? So it's this, you want to add things on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other. And then you can also say, well, yeah, but XRP, it didn't break out. You always want to challenge yourself. You want to challenge your bias. Let's say you like a certain coin. Don't like it because other people like it. Always challenge the person you're listening to, right? Challenge your own ideas, right? If you look at a chart and you say that's bullish, I want you to look at it and tell me why it's bearish, right? There has to be you have to challenge yourself. You have to challenge your bullish bias, because we all want the market to go up. I want it to go up. Most people, hodlers, investors, want it to go up. So if you want it to go up, then you're going to try to look at the chart in a way where it fits your narrative, it fits your agenda, but you can't do that, right? So you always have to look at it bearishly. And I've talked about how this could look bearishly, right? This could be, I won't get into this video, but essentially, trying to look at it bearishly, you could say, well, yeah, everything you said it looks good, but what about this? This is a channel, right? So if this is a channel, right, we have A or 3, 3, and 3. And we can come down here, right? W, X, Y. Then we can go to the moon. Not until we hit 17 cents, right? We got to go down to 17 cents or 10 cents. And then we can go. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Do I want that to happen? No. But it totally could happen. And that's why you have to challenge yourself. So you have to say which one makes more sense, right? Always expect, hope for the best, expect the worst, right? So anyway, the 4-day candle, I really want to see the 4-day candle close above this close right here at 68 cents. So right now we're currently below it, right? And if it doesn't happen this 4 days, maybe the next candle, it's okay, right? But we want it to close above 68817, and it's currently 6874. Okay, let's see what the daily says. So the daily candle, we did break above this high, and we broke above this high, right? And now we're coming back down, and we're potentially back testing this area too. And then look at this. And I'm adding even more confluence. Look at this. Here's your shoulder. Here's your head. Here's your shoulder. Here's your neckline. Look at that. What is that? That's an inverse head and shoulders. So what's the measured move of that inverse head and shoulders? If I take it from the base of the close, so the top about right there, and then I take this and then I'll put it right about there. Ballpark figure around 82 cents. So that could be a potential target, a measured move from that area, right? And then another way you can say is, okay, this was also, we have, right? I showed this before, a cup and a handle. So what's the measure move there? Well, if I take it from here to there, just about, right? Not totally perfect, but, you know, about $1, $1.02, $1.03. So, you know, we got some upside. We got a cup and handle, and in the handle, we have an inverse head and shoulders. And in that inverse head and shoulders, we have an E wave, or in that whole thing, we have a contracting triangle. And in that contracting triangle, we have reaccumulation. And following that, prior to that reaccumulation, we had a retrace, right? And then the whole thing is a contracting triangle. So think about XRP, how strong it is during its weakest times, not its strongest times, right? And like I've always said, XRP held the top 10 title despite not breaking out into a new all-time high. Somebody explain to me how that's possible. How is it possible that a cryptocurrency can hold a top 10 position without breaking out into a new all-time high? Everybody else did. Everybody else broke out into a new all-time high. Cardano, right? ADA, all the top 10 players, Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? All the BNB, all the top contenders broke out into a new all-time high. XRP did not. So how did it hold the top 10 title? And then also ask yourself this. It got delisted from Coinbase. How is it possible that it held the top 10 by being delisted? How is it possible that it had a lawsuit, a major government lawsuit against, you know, they call it the crypto trial of the century? How is it possible that it held the top 10 title despite not breaking out, despite being delisted, despite the lawsuit? That's 3 major blows against XRP. And yet somehow, some way, it is still in the top 10 and it is still chugging along. That, my friends, is true strength. That is a massive strength. So if it's strong during its weakest time, just imagine what it's going to be during its days of glory, right? During its strong times. What do you think is going to happen when this thing breaks out into a new all-time high? I think it could totally be in the top 3, where I know it could be in the top 3. The question is, will it ever get into the top 2? I think at some day it probably maybe will. I think it could. I think it has the ability to do that. Okay? So I think it could be number 2. Right? A lot of people think it could be number 1. I tend to say no on that just because Bitcoin was first to market. It is so incredibly popular, right? It is just, I mean, Bitcoin is like 100 miles ahead of XRP as terms of adoption, ETFs, regulation, adoption, right? Just so it's going to be very hard. And I don't even want to, I mean, talking about that is, you know, you're not supposed to talk about that, right? Remember what Digital Asset Investor said? You're not supposed to talk about those things, right? Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. I'm not telling you it is or not. All I'm saying is, what do you think? Doesn't matter what I think. I presented my opinions on how I interpret this market. Doesn't mean it's right, but that's how I see it, and that's how my position is, right? Talk is cheap, right? People say, put your money where your mouth is. Well, I'm literally doing that. So the question is that what you're going to do? Or is that what you've already done, right? So this is not financial advice. That'll do it for this video. But basically, long story short, I am looking at a brand new all-time high for XRP coming soon, right? That could reach up to $13, right? And if not 13, I think it can hit between $7 and $8. So, and where is that from here? That's approximately 1,000%, all the way up to 1,800%, right? And then there is a scenario where we can get 2,300%, right? So if I take this Fibonacci, right? I mean, just look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin went all the way up to the 2, right? Let me show you where the 2 is on here. So Dogecoin hit the 2, which is $90. I don't think that's going to happen, but hey, if it did, that would be crazy. So the 1618 is between $25 and $33 on log scale. So from where we are from now to get to that point, that's way higher than 2,300%. That's like 3,500%, right? So yeah, I think even 3,500% is a possibility. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't really like to say one way or another. For me, I'm more like let's take it one step at a time. Let's get above $1. Let's get above $1.30, right? Let's get above $2, and then we can set our sights to higher sights, right? But for now, I think this thing right here, right, is starting to shape up to be this beautiful structure that we're seeing in here, right? And then I guess, if the triangle isn't done, A, B, C, D, right? And now we need to get up into E. I just don't see that, right? I see that E's already there. And I think blockchain backer is right in given the fact that this is probably another contracting triangle in wave E, right? So which means hopefully we get a breakout soon. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that'll do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I really appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'd be so cool if you can do that. And also leave a comment. And if you want to support the channel, I do have a tip jar. I have 4 addresses on screen. If you wanted to support the channel and support my work and what I'm doing, I try to provide different angles. I try to provide as much detail as I can, and do it in a responsible way. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. If you got any charts you want me to take a look at, always drop them in the comment section. I can add it to the rapid fire session that we do. I try to do that once a week. And I've done a cluster of XRP videos. I need to get a Theta video out and a Theta Fuel video out, and also a Bitcoin video out. So we'll take it one step at a time, and we'll see you there. So yeah, have a good week, and cheers.